Okay, so we're just doing an oil study here and trying to use the sight size method. The camera angle, of course, is a little different, but basically, off the edge of my canvas on the left, you can measure exactly the sitter as they are sitting, and it kind of translates directly onto the canvas. And so, the sight size method, you can basically compare, and you're trying to seek after the lines that are generalized with the person sitting. And I do not know why the camera's shaking, but we'll fix that. So basically, you're just trying to get the rough gist of the sitter. And you find the lower chin, different landmarks, sight size. Basically what I'm doing is comparing different lengths of things, the hair, where it sits in relations to different parts. And you try to go with the bigger lines first and not carve out the exact shape yet. So you're just laying it in. That's what we're doing. This is the first time I've painted in this style with oil, and so it's a very new method for me. I've only usually draw from life, and so this is definitely a challenge, but it's definitely a fun challenge. But basically, yeah, you just go with those shapes. I'm roughing in a little shape there. And then we'll continue to find other landmarks, such as the shoulder, and where the shirt lies, and different angles like that. And so, yeah, that's all you do for the first part of any kind of painting, is just find the rough shape and the different angles that are important, and get it pretty accurate. The longer you take getting it accurate, the better the painting will be in the long run. So that's something I've always been trying to shoot for, is accuracy, but also, something that's not too perfect, just because if I wanted a photograph, I'd take one. So that's kind of how I see art, is that it's how you see the person, but the important part, for most people, is to try to get the person pretty accurate. Now I'm looking for that angle from the hair in the chest, and that's what we're working on now. And so I probably got the angle a little off, but you'll see. And so you're always constantly changing the angles, and eventually you can start using paint to change those angles. And that's the kind of the fun part of painting, is you can keep changing it. With oil, sometimes you have to wait, but you can work on those angles. And before I painted this painting, I stained the canvas with some burnt umber, and that's why the canvas is brown. And the burnt umber is still pretty fresh. And so, coming up on the next, a little bit part of this video, I'll be able to wipe out some of the brown, and you'll be able to pull out some of the white, so her white of the shirt can be pulled out. And so that's the kind of fun part with oil, is you really can't do with acrylic, is the wipe out method. So right now I'm just getting the last angles of her shirt, some parts that you can't see on the camera. But her sleeve is kind of running across on her lap. So you'll see that in a second. And so at any point in time, you can check and recheck angles. I probably should have done a lot more, especially with the hair down on the face. And I kind of got lazy here and just put in the eyes, but I think it's a little off. And same thing with the nose. But remember, my angle is different than the one you're seeing on the camera as well. So it's not quite a silhouette, it's more of a 3/4 turn. And a nice sleeve shot. Oh yeah. But yeah, so this is the first time I've recorded a video like this, and it's kind of for my own education, but hopefully you're learning something from it too. But the goal is to, get angles correctly, and for now I can see that, the angle of the neck and things are a little bit off, but it's definitely fun to do. So I highly encourage you to work from life rather than just photographs. But at the same time, you can take photos of the person while they're sitting in that position and reference those later. And that's really helpful to me. And basically the outline that I use for this painting I haven't really talked about yet, but it's just a burnt umber that's been thinned down with some thinner, and then you just use that to basically as your pencil and sketch out the accurate lines as close as you can. Looking back at this, I wish I did more accurate straight edge lines at the beginning and then started working the details. I kind of went into the details a little early, and even right here I'm kind of sketching out what shape of hair it should be, and so I'm using the blue to get those shapes correct, which is pretty early. So I recommend continuing to work and get the angles correctly a lot longer than I did. I was just kind of moving quickly for the sake of the model, because she was just doing me a favor to sit for a little while right after we did a photo shoot, so something like that. And so part of my video I forgot to turn on the camera, so we skipped a little bit, but this is the wipeout section where you get a little rag or your paintbrush, put a little thinner on it, and it will start to, you'll be able to rub out some of the color. And so right there I'm kind of getting the chin in there because I lost it earlier, and we can do the cheeks and different highlights. These are things that you'll go back over with paint, but it's just to remind yourself of where those brightest whites were and things like that. So the wipeout technique is really a good idea. And so staining your canvas right before you paint, letting it dry a little bit, helps you with this technique. Yeah, and so that's pretty much it. I did add a little white, I think, to the shirt in a little bit to just make that white pop even more. And so you can start looking for shadows in the neck and the clavicle, different things like that, which I wish I would have spent a little more time on. Right now I'm just getting thinner onto the shirt to pull more of that white out. And so that's kind of a fun way of working with oils, is that you can add that layer but then wipe it out later, and it makes it a better painting. And then you just keep adding little, if you're moving really quick like I was, this was probably a 30 or 45 minute painting. And we maybe took one break. For most people it just hurts to sit for a certain amount of time, so it's good to take breaks. As I'm looking at the hair, remember my angle was different, but from this angle, there's more of a sweeping of the hair. And right now I'm kind of putting in the eyebrows and eye area just for future reference, and the shadows under the nose. Once again, I'm measuring the nose to make sure it's accurate in the right spot. But constantly you have to check. And anytime you take a break with a model, then you just have them sit back and then kind of check some key areas and make sure that their chin and top of their head align up with that. Different landmarks that you've put in there. And so that's really helpful. But like I said, I haven't painted from life ever. And so this is kind of my first or second time doing that in the past little while. But I used to always draw from life. And so it's a big jump, really. It's probably best to stick with a grayscale or a brown when you're getting back into it, just to get the practice. Yeah, so this is pretty much where I left off with the painting. I'm going to add more color to the background. But thank you for tuning in. If you want to follow more of my paintings or see my art, please check out my website at jessejameshunt.com. And my Instagram is the same, Jesse James Hunt. All right, talk to you later. Thanks. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up.